without sin. I was born on June 17th, 1871. I bet you don't know this about me. I graduated from Clark Atlanta University. I became a principal at the age of 23. I became a lawyer and the first black person to pass the bar in the state of Florida. I was appointed by President Roosevelt as the United States Consul to Venezuela. I was the first African American professor at New York University. Everybody knows that I wrote our national anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, and I will share some of my poem, The Creation. And God stepped out on space, and he looked around and said, I'm lonely. I will make me a world. As far as the eye of God could see, the darkness covered everything, blacker than 100 midnights down in the cypress swamp. God smiled, and the light broke, and the darkness rolled up on one side, and the light stood shining on the other, and God said, that's good. And God reached out and took the light in his hands, and God rolled the light around in his hands until he made the sun. He set that sun blazing up to heaven, and the light that was left from making the sun, God gathered it up as a shining bow, and he flung it against the darkness, bang away the night with the moon and stars, and down between the darkness and the light, the will when God said, that's good. And God himself stepped down, and the sun was on his right here, and the moon was on his left. The stars were clustered above his head, and the earth was under his feet. And God walked there where he trod his footsteps. Howled the bells as both the mountains. And then he stopped and looked and saw that the earth hot and buried. So God stepped on the edge of the world, and he spat out the seven seas. He batted his eye, and the lightning flashed. He clapped his hands when the thunders rolled, and the warm earth came down, the cool like waters came down. Then the green grass sprouted, and the little red flowers blossomed. The pine tree pointed his finger to the sky, and the oak spread out his arms. The lakes cuddled down to the hollow of the road, and the rivers ran down to the sea, and God smiled again. And the rainbow appeared and curled itself around his shoulder. And he waved his arm, and he waved his hand over the sea and over the wind. He said, blink forward, and quicker than God could jump his hands. Fishes and bowls and beasts and birds swam, and the rivers and the seas lost the firs and the woods and split the air with their wings. And God said, that's good. And God walked around, and God looked around at all he had made. He looked at his sun. He looked at his moon. He looked at his little stars. He looked at his world with all his living things, and God said, I'm lonely still. And God sat down by his side of a hill that I could think. By a deep, wide river, he sat down with his head in his hands. God thought, I'll make me a man. Up from the bed of the river, God scooped the clay and by the bank of a river, he kneeled him down. That's the great God Almighty who lit the sun and fixed it in the sky, who flung the stars to the most far corners of the night, who rounded the earth in the middle of the sky. This great God, like a mommy bending over a baby, kneel down in the dust, twirling over a lump of clay, till he shaped it in his own image. Into it, he blew the breath of life. And man became a living soul. Amen. Amen.